With the conversations we've been having, it's clear that too many of us are not making a living wage and getting fair pay for our work in the manufacturing and machining industries. Today, we're going to be talking about a key element in the effort to actually do something and avoid paralysis by analysis, and that is negotiation. What's up, guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machining Tool back here again for Practical Machinist. Today we're going to be tackling a difficult topic, and that is negotiation. But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe below if you want to see more videos. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so today we're going to be talking about, as promised, negotiation. I know this word has a little bit of stank on it for some of you guys. It's a bit of a dirty word. You know, just going back to the conversation that we had in one of the previous videos about wages in the metalworking industry and sharing our wage information. It sounds like there's a lot of aversion to this. It sounds, like I said, like a dirty word. But, you know, today we're not going to be talking about unions. We're not going to be talking about collective bargaining. We're not going to be talking about making picket lines and, you know, locking ourselves out of our businesses in order to make sure we're getting a living wage. Today we're just going to be trying to add another tool to your toolkit, and that is negotiation. We're going to keep it really simple. You 150% need to know this if you want to be successful in business, if you want to be successful as a machinist. You know, even if you never plan to do anything besides machining, this is a skill you need to know in order to make sure you're getting best wages for yourself. If you're planning to get into sales, you're going to negotiate a lot. If you decide to try to open a business, you're going to negotiate pretty much every day. So it is a skill that is worth learning and is worth investing some time into. Today is just going to be a really crash course through some tips about it. You know, we're not going to go through and you're not going to walk out of this and be able to be a hostage negotiator tomorrow, but it's some things to start thinking about when you're getting into these situations regarding negotiation to help you navigate those situations. First and foremost, let's start off on what negotiation is. Negotiation is, in simplest terms, conversation with results. That's how I read a book by Chris Voss, who's the head FBI hostage negotiator, and that's how he describes it. And that's a conversation with results. Pretty much all negotiation is, to expand on that a little bit, is when two parties are trying to come to an agreement. Sometimes that could mean one side makes an offer, the other side likes it and agrees. That's a negotiation. Sometimes one side is going to ask for something, the other side is going to counter offer, and then all of a sudden we're into months and months of counter offers and debate and negotiation. It can be as simple as a quick conversation. It can be as complex as months and months and months of back and forth. So, you know, really when I'm talking about negotiation, guys, please don't think this is always going to be some big formal situation where you sit on either side of a boardroom table and go back and forth to your lawyers. Negotiations happen on the floor, negotiations happen on the phone. They happen almost every day. So your aversion to it, if you're someone who says, I don't like aversion, or I don't like negotiation, it's something you do all the time anyway and may not even be aware of it. Being aware of it and actually trying to use some strategy and being cognizant of it is the first step to being better at negotiation. The biggest thing people have to get over when it comes to learning it as a skill is getting over their aversion to it. It's not a dirty thing. It is something you're going to have to do all the time. So first and foremost, guys, let's just get past that hump, okay? The alternative to negotiation is sitting on your hands, because you are basically just sitting there and saying, I am going to be a good person, I'm going to work hard, and now my customers are going to pay me for what my parts are worth, and my boss is going to see my awesome work and give me raises out of the goodness of their heart. Does it happen? Yes, but at the end of the day, if you do not ask for things, you will not get them in this world. It's just the way the world works. It's important to advocate for yourself, and that's really what this is coming down to. So the first tip I have for negotiation is know what you want before you get there. Usually when it comes to negotiation, guys, we always want more. We want more parts for the price we're paying. We want more service. You know, I want a shorter deadline. I want more money for the job I'm working at. The problem is that more needs to be quantified. If I just want more, and I don't actually know what I want, it's a very difficult position to argue from. If I just go to my boss and I say, I want more money, he says, all right, how about $1? And I say, no. He says, how about $1.50? And I say, no. That's not a position of strength to be negotiating from. I want to know that in my head, I want to make $2.50 more per hour this year and go in with that as an aim. I don't need to state it outright, but I need to know that that's the objective I'm negotiating towards. If all we want is a better deal than what we think we're going to get offered, the problem is that we may end up negotiating for no reason. We may end up negotiating just for the sake of negotiating. So if I say, you know, I want more money, and my boss comes and says, I'm going to give you X, and I say, no, I want that plus 5. Well, do I really want that plus 5? Sure, but is that a reasonable position? Is that a stance that I can justify? If it's not, all of a sudden I'm not negotiating anymore, I'm just demanding, and demanding does not really work. I hope you guys understand the difference there. If you're in a situation, guys, and you can't always know what you want before you get in a negotiation, for instance, let's say a customer calls and they have an issue. I may not be ready for that conversation. I may not know what I want because I don't know what they're asking for. I don't know what the position I want to achieve is. Slow it down. Always slow it down. So say, do you know what? Thank you very much for coming to me with this offer, or thank you very much for coming to me with this issue. Please let me go discuss it with my team, or please let me have a few minutes to think about it. Let me talk about it again to you tomorrow, unless it's a pressing situation. You want to try to slow it down to be able to consider your options. Essentially what you want to avoid doing is doing all those mental calculations and, you know, the pondering on what you actually want while you're debating or while you're negotiating. If you're doing it while you're negotiating, you may miss part of the deal that is a key thing to you. You know, I agreed for $1 more an hour, but what I really wanted when I talked to my wife last night was health insurance. I forgot it, I already made the deal, whatever it may be. You want to make sure that you have time to do all those calculations to figure out what you really want before you get into the actual negotiation. So if it catches you by surprise, slow it down, try to back off a little bit. Which brings us to our next point, tone. This is where you will make or break a lot of debates, and unfortunately when it comes to dealing with a blue collar trade, it's a trend I see all the time. I really wish that there was part of trade school, that there was an interpersonal skills unit, because I feel like it is just as important towards being a successful machinist or being a successful business owner as making good parts. I know guys who run amazing shops and make amazing parts who have no personal skills, and people will leave getting work done from them because when they get in these negotiations, they're not talked to in the correct way. Tone is where you are going to either make or break situations based on nothing but by the way you talk to people and based on the way you handle yourself. And this is something that can make you very successful, or it can absolutely ruin you. The trick is, guys, everybody thinks that when you're looking at a negotiation, we all think of, you know, the Gordon Gekko situations, you know, with Wall Street, where they're hardline negotiating and, you know, they're being assertive and they're saying, I want this, and if I don't get it, I'm not going to do it. That's not the way real negotiations work. If people do that, you know, you can bully someone into agreeing with you, but they're not going to come back. That's a one-time deal. You might get what you want out of it once, but it's not going to work. That person's not going to want to work with you in the future. You want to be able to be assertive and know what you want, but really the confidence that you want to exude is that you have it handled. You know what you want, you're confident what you're asking for, you're calm, you're cool, you're collected. This is just a conversation. You know, think of it this way. If my customer calls me and says, hey, do you know what? I have a problem with these parts, and I got my backup and I say, those parts are fine. I know those parts are fine. No, you know, you signed the PO, you signed the packing slip, the parts are fine. Do you know what? That customer may pay for those parts that one time. They're never coming back, ever. You want to be able to say, hey, do you know what? I wasn't aware of that. Let's go take a look at that. You know, what kind of issues are you seeing? Okay, yeah, you know what? Why don't you send the parts back? Let me take a look at them. It's all about exuding an air of confidence and calm, rational thinking. You're not getting mad at anybody. You're not getting angry. You're just trying to understand what the problem is. Because at the end of the day, guys, let's put it this way. If you're dealing with a customer with that same situation who says, you know what, I have these parts that are no good, I need them fixed, you don't know where they're really coming from. Maybe those people would typically accept those parts, but the problem that you're seeing, or that you're not aware of, is that that person's been up all night with a sick father. They've been up with a sick kid all night. They've come into work, they're at the end of their rope, and now they're in a position where they see these parts they would usually accept, and they say, nope, you know what, today it's no good. You don't know what you're dealing with. If you get your backup on that right away, you're not gonna get a chance to get all the information out of that to figure out what the real problem is. If you take the time to calmly talk to them, walk them through what their concerns are, all of a sudden, you know what, maybe they may realize they're being a little bit unreasonable. Maybe you're gonna find out that they're having a bad day, you understand what you're dealing with, and then you can go from there. The other side of knowing or exuding that confidence is that you can have a situation where you can be assertive and stand up for yourself without being rude. If you go too far the other way and you're just being appeasing, guys, there's no win if that customer comes to you and says, those parts are no good, and you say, no problem, I'll remake them all. If those parts were good, all of a sudden you're just taking a loss. That doesn't do you any good either. So there's a way to stand up for yourself and really try to understand what the situation is without just rolling over every time, because that's just gonna get you steamrolled. Which brings me to my third point, and that is identify pain points. Pain points tends to be a sales term. I see it a lot when we're talking about sales. And what a pain point is it is essentially identifying issues. So if you're looking at a manufacturing process, a pain point may be that this guy has to reload vices every time the part needs to get changed over. To fix that pain point, you put in a 4th axis where it can do multiple parts. When you're dealing with negotiations, pain points are kind of that same thing. You want to identify on your own end what your pain points are, and on the other end of what, I don't want to call it your adversary or opponent, but what the other party, what their pain points are. So for instance, let's say I want to go do a salary negotiation with my boss. My pain points are, I am not making enough money to be sustainable in the place that I am living, the cost of living in this area, this is not making sense. And I need health insurance because I have 2 kids. Those are my pain points. To identify my boss's pain points, he needs to make sure that he or she are putting their wage dollars where they're gonna see the highest rate of return, and they need to make sure they are investing their money correctly in order to protect their margins. Those are the 2 pain points for me, those are the 2 pain points for them. The reason identifying them is important is because you want to label them and call them out. Not call them out in a negative way, but you want to bring attention to them. So think of it this way, if I go to my boss and I say, I want more money, that's just saying what I need. That's just saying my pain points. Instead, if I go to them and say, listen, it seems like you're dealing with some tight margins right now, and you're looking as to how to assign this year's budget in a way that's gonna get you the highest return. I know you only have limited dollars to put out for wages. This is why, all of a sudden it's identified exactly the things they're gonna come back to you with. If you just say, I want more money, and they say, I don't have a budget. It's not a debate, it's not an argument. Now it's just, I have one stance, they have another stance. If you call out their thoughts on it before they get there, it shows that you're thinking of it from their perspective, and it helps prime their concerns. A lot of times when you ask for something from a customer, if I say I want to do this job for $10 each, and the customer says, well, I can only afford to pay $8. If I say, it seems like you are trying to protect a margin right now. It seems like, it seems like from my perspective, you have a retail price here you're trying to hit, and my price is just too high. They may come back and say, actually, no, it's because I'm getting it done over there. It's priming them into a situation where they can give more information to you in order to build that conversation out further. They may say, oh no, this part actually retails for $36. The problem is that I have If you just analyze and give them an opportunity to present those concerns to you by calling them out, you're gonna end up in a way better position to help that negotiation. Finally, guys, do not be afraid of no. Everybody is afraid of hearing the word no. We're all afraid of saying the word no. We don't want to be rude. We're afraid of getting rejected. The fact is, guys, negotiations start with a no. If it was just I want this, yes, okay. I know I said that was a negotiation earlier. It's not really a negotiation, that's a discussion. Negotiations start at no. I want more money, no. I want to do this part for $10, no. I shipped you parts, they're good, no. That's where the negotiation starts, and you can't be afraid of it, because every time you get a no, it does get you closer to a yes. And I'm not saying that in some kind of, fluffy, oh, you just need to hear enough no's until you get a yes. Hearing no's means people are actually thinking about what you're saying and making a decision. It's not the decision you want, but it's better than them saying, yeah, no, you want them to say no, because if you get a no, all of a sudden you know what they're not going to accept, or at least what they're not going to accept right now. If I say I want to do this part for $15, customer says no, well, you know what? Okay, well, why don't we boost the quantity up to 200 parts? Why don't I build some fixturing that will amortize over the next 4 months? All of a sudden that no may become a yes. It's all about helping to identify where their issues are. And if you're getting no's, you can at least identify the issues. If you're not getting anything, that's where your negotiation is failing. So do not be afraid of hearing no. I hope this has been helpful, guys. Negotiation is a very difficult skill to learn, but it's one that you can chip away on and kind of get better at as the years go on. And the biggest thing when it comes to negotiation is being very cognizant of when you are in a negotiation. I feel like a lot of guys kind of brush off negotiations as conversations or arguments. If you're actually active in thinking about what that conversation really is, a negotiation, you can be in a lot better positions when those negotiations, need to produce results. Thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, make sure you like and subscribe if you want to see more videos, and do tell me in the comments below some of your biggest negotiation stories and some of your best negotiation tips. Thanks again for watching. You take care.